talk about this art a little bit?
Yeah, for sure, yeah.
All right, cool.
I really don't want to be.
I'm not really concerned about people going through it. More just concerned about the fence being. As soon as they see the fence down, then they're going to send in the troops.
Let them.
You got it. You got this.
What is saying?
If you like what someone is saying,
Do this. That way, we can all hear over your claps. Hey, I'm Jude.
hey, I'm Jude.
So glad to be here. You know, one of the reasons the camp was told to shut down was because of health reasons. Now, I personally think that everything's been pretty clean. But please, we're growing. Make sure you throw your trash in the proper receptacles and clean up after your animals. One of the things the media said all of the news this morning were just about these issues. Feces on the sidewalk, litter, whatever. Let's respect ourselves. Let's respect our city. And let's respect our planet. You guys rock.
I'm gonna get to you, Menzel.
No, but other people have been waiting for the tree.
There's a stack. Please respect the stack.
Will you explain what the stack is?
The stack is a line. You stand in that line to wait your turn. Just like everyone else. You are no better than anyone else.
I'm a little nervous, so excuse me. Yo, I am sick and tired of these police always harassing us, messing with us, and always bothering us. Why won't the mayor come down here and speak to us? What is they afraid of? Why won't the police chief of Oakland come down here and talk to us?
A few words at a time.
Come down here and talk to us.
Short friends.
Parents are capable of when people, when they're scared, and they're scared right now. We're scaring the fuck out of them. Or, you know.
For citizens who are exercising their free speech in an open space.
You have thousands of people gathered here. These are not just the original Occupy Oakland protesters. These are folks who are part of unions and city businesses who say they wouldn't be anywhere else today. A number of people here actually told me they decided to pull their children out of school today because they felt this was something historic that they didn't want their kids to miss.
A prevailing attitude that teaching is not a respected profession like it was when I was younger, and I think teachers resonate with this. I think they feel what everybody else is feeling, maybe even more so.
This movement is going to be what finally changes the direction of the United States. It's going to change our foreign policy. It's going to change our banking policy. It's going to support our schools instead of bombs. This is the movement that's going to do that.
And that certainly is the sentiment shared by the thousands of people here today. Once again, a number of people waiting here for a number of speakers who will speak throughout the afternoon. The final gathering today is scheduled for 5 o'clock this evening.
All-day efforts, protest efforts to shut down the Port of Oakland and every other West Coast port is underway. Hundreds of Occupy protesters have now managed to make an impact on trucks at the port.
And that's where ABC7's Amy Hollyfield is live with the latest. Amy?
Good morning, Eric. Yeah, it looks like it's shut down out here. Look at these trucks. They're just sitting, not going anywhere. Some of the drivers have turned their engines off. You can see some of them have gotten out of their trucks. They're standing out here on the street. They say they're trying to figure out what's going on. A spokesman for the Port of Oakland says the port is not shut down, that business is just delayed. But out here on 7th Street, nothing is moving. These trucks aren't going anywhere, so by appearances, it looks like business has been shut down. The protesters got here about an hour ago. They've stationed themselves at a couple of locations. We're on 7th Street, and we also understand they're over on Adeline as well.
And that is when everyone here will march to the port again.
In the coming period, the great multinational corporations, which are not very far from us physically tonight, those are the basic institutions of oppression and coercion and autocratic rule that appear to be neutral. After all, they say, well, we're subject to the democracy of the marketplace. Still, I think it would be a great shame to lose or to put aside entirely the somewhat more abstract and philosophical, if you like, task of trying to draw the connections between a concept of human nature that gives full scope to freedom and dignity and creativity and other fundamental human characteristics, and relates that to some notion of social structure in which those properties could be realized, in which meaningful human life could take place. And in fact, if we are thinking of social transformation or social revolution, though it would be absurd, of course, to try to draw out in detail the point that we're hoping to reach, still we should know something about where we think we're going.
Physical communities are usually fairly homogenous. People are fairly similar within those communities. And we usually interact in a synchronous fashion in a physical community. Now in a virtual, we usually have members of
innocent, peaceful civilians. How can you live with yourself? I'm ashamed of you. I'm so ashamed.
This is not regular cop work. This is not why you became cops.
You're one of us. We're one of you. We're your brothers and sisters. How could you do this? You didn't have to do this.
I just saw two people get arrested just now.
Cops, I love you guys. There's nothing against cops, man. You guys are working people. That's the fucking scary part. They might want to, even if they did, it's only something that's forced on them by the fucking setup, man. That's true, but they gotta be responsible. We all do. We gotta be responsible for each other, man. These are our fucking brothers. Yeah, but they put their uniforms on and they forget their hearts. But they put their training on and they forget their fucking minds. but that's not necessarily their fault.
There ain't no excuse either. Some holes down. That's how we say it in the
Like y'all just be there exposing the system and shit.
This side, people are on this side. Oakland, okay? Another half of you cops don't even live in Oakland. How you guys supporting Oakland if you guys don't suspend your money in here? Even the Uncle Toms, the porch people, are helping you guys out. You guys got the slaves helping you guys out? You guys got the illegal aliens helping you guys out? What the fuck? We're out here feeding all the homeless, brother. I don't want food, not bombs. Today's gonna be our biggest food day. What are we gonna do with all this food?
About to evaporate real fast.
Really know.
Do you guys know where your pensions are at?
Do you know where your pensions are?
The syndicate, they'll fuck you guys. They don't want those attacks.
Different. So once we start thinking about the people that we interact with and the relationships we have, we can start to think of the notion of the community in which we work, live, or interact virtually. So some adjectives that you can think of when you think of the word community are
I want to get out of here. What's the problem? Let us leave. Let us get out of here. Why can't we go?
Just give us a dispersal order and these people will go.
What do you want from us? We want to leave.
Let us go. You don't want us here. We don't want to be here.
Let us go.
I don't want to be here. If you let me leave, I will go. I promise.
We want to go. We want to leave. Let us leave.
As well as refusing to condemn torture, Foucault also refused to endorse the prison system. It also had a symbolic role that reflected the inner workings of society. The rationalist principles that produced the prison had also produced what Foucault called panopticism, the state as the all-seeing eye, modelled on the panoptical prison design first proposed by the British reformer Jeremy Bentham.
On the periphery, an annular building. In the centre, a tower. It then suffices to place a supervisor in the central tower and a madman, a patient, a condemned man, a worker, or a schoolboy in each cell. So many cages, so many little theatres in which each actor is alone, perfectly individualized and constantly visible. Full light and the gaze of a supervisor capture better than darkness, which was ultimately a protection. Visibility is a trap.
One question we can ask ourselves is cyberspace rendering place irrelevant? And I don't think it is, because we are still living in places. We're still physically located somewhere, but the boundaries are a little more blurred now than they've been in the past. So think about your virtual life versus your physical life, and what are the differences? In this unit, we will be discussing the two domains in which we live, work, and function. These are space and place. And it's important to make this distinction between these two because we approach life in each one a little bit differently. So we can think about cyberspace as a conceptual domain within which internet interactions take place.
With two economies only, housing and automobile. Detroit failed because of that one economy holding up the entire state and practically this country. It was inevitable to fail. So I think that should be kept in mind. We're community organizing, we're trying to do the right thing, but we have to keep in mind the bigger picture is that we have only two economies basically that's keeping this country afloat. And it's housing, which flopped. California lost because of that, and the automobile. Two economies, proper information. So that has to be considered as we fly around the community doing proselytizing over what, 70, 80 years. It hasn't gotten hold yet.
Yeah, and I think it has to happen.
My first point,
I was wondering while you were going through that whether there were any measures in place to prevent reclamation and repossession of that land, because I think that I actually think that it is unlikely that they'll be able to keep that land when those places start to flourish again and people start pouring back into the community, because you know it's going to rebound. Those places, whether they're banks or whatever, what have you, they're going to come and they're going to want their food again. They're going to want everything back, and I doubt it, man.
That's the question that I asked them. That's the question that I asked them. So this is a sample of many of the reclamation efforts that are happening, not just in that one space, but throughout the Brightmore neighborhood. There are little pocket parts, and there are the communities that are stepping up and redoing this across Brightmore and maybe even across Detroit. So they are absolutely knowing that they could lose it at any moment, but it doesn't stop them from doing it, and it would be really bad press for the people who would like to reclaim this neighborhood if they don't put something back in its place.
Yeah, I mean that's my point. Is they're going to put something back in its place. They're definitely going to put something back in its place, but it's not going to be something that's homegrown and organic like the community initiated to begin with. And so my point is, do you know of any initiatives, efforts, policy measures, anything like that in place right now that they're trying to implement in order to make this land their own, since it's been veritably abandoned by those who own it?
Yeah, no, I don't know if...
But to actually do the hearings in terms of human impact instead of money. And so that's exciting that she's taking a different kind of leadership in that. To raise any kind of taxes in Alameda County takes 4 votes of the Board of Supervisors.
And videos can be deceiving. That's no, I haven't.
When somebody's getting, they're pretty blatant.
Well, to that point, what's his name? The guy that got the poster child now from the start, killing from the police. That video was very good. Yeah, that's right. That video is compelling too, but there's a history that led up to the video, and I would like to take the entirety of the situation opposed to just one end of it and judge the situation from that one end. It's a complex situation with the police, because they do have a mandate. We put them there to do a job, and when you confront that, it gets very, it's hard.
Like to get heated.
No, but everybody's doing propaganda. That's fine. That's how you do protesting. We have to do our propaganda. But I think we should be more realistic and honest, because that's what our mandate is supposed to be, right? You know, social justice, social inclusion, working for the better cause. So we can't propagate this one-sided.
I'm gonna give you the benefit of the doubt. Okay. I'm gonna show you the video.
Okay. Well, videos can show you that.
It was a really peaceful. I mean, the whole idea of the protest was that it was a peaceful protest.
I was watching the beginning. In the afternoon there was arrests, and I was watching from the roof of Sprout because I was actually working. And everyone was standing in the peaceful protest with peace signs saying peaceful protest, peaceful protest, chanting peaceful protest. And they were chanting, "We're doing this for your children, we're doing this for your children." Right. And that's when they started getting beaten. So it was indeed, there was no provocation, and I have multiple friends. I had friends that were on crutches. I had a friend who his nose was broken.
Let's let her finish talking.
So yeah, I mean, none of them were provoking the cops in any way, shape, or form. They were saying, "I'm a human being, don't hit me," and they were hit in the face and got their nose broken. So it's really a matter of...
And then they start chanting, "Stop hitting students! Stop hitting students!"
Well, they locked arms and they consider that a non-violent. They consider that violent opposition. But I've seen them with less police force at the Oakland tree break up a line, so that's not a good excuse.
One more question: opposition to what? Why were the police there? What were
they were trying to prevent encampment. They didn't want them setting up tents. They said you can march around, you can do whatever, but you can't set up tents.
So how do they prevent that without force?
Well, nobody was there setting up tents.
I like to see the video. I just like
and even if there was people that were trying to set up tents, there were not. Those people that were getting hit were not the people that were setting up tents. They were just standing.
And either way, the tents that have been put in all around the country, those are not necessarily legal, but that's something it's about reclaiming public space and allowing to use your voice and like say a message. And that's what we're trying to tell the university, is that we want to be able to have that space to tell our message. And they just are basically not listening to that and just using force to try and get us to leave.
And in New York, what's happening is that they're actually bringing in army tents because they're believing that if the tents were larger and there were more people together in the tents, there are less chances of conflict and also less chances of criminal activity. I mean, this is an amazing movement, and it is a peaceful, this is the most peaceful thing that happened in a long time. And in Oakland, I think they just made a very, very, very big mistake, and the politicians and the police department will pay for it. And Oakland will get lawsuits from every person that's been injured. I mean, what happened to the Iraqi veteran was absolutely shameful. Don't get me started, sorry.
You know,
But I'm very passionate about violence.
One of the things that they're saying is that one of the main reasons that Occupy movement wasn't even allowed to stay was the fact that they showed, televised footage of them beating the guy in the head. And they said that it pretty much, I don't agree with this, but they're saying that it pretty much, the way Kwan handled that she pretty much will not be reelected in the next election. This is already starting to have ramifications in political elections. Just the way that she handled that, and my heart kind of goes out to her. What are you supposed to do? You've got an Iraqi vet who's down on the ground. They show footage of them. Are you okay? Are you okay? She said, let them stay. What else is she supposed to do,
I guess
it was her initial actions that people were upset about. It's not her actions afterwards saying, oh, they can stay. It's her initial actions saying that rather than working with them, she just immediately tried to get police to break them up and allowed them to use that brutal force, and that allowed for that to happen.
But they consider that soft. They consider that soft.
How much of this did we do last Monday? No, I really want to know, how much of this discussion did we do last Monday? We were No, this is different.
Yeah, because this is a
We were
matter of
talking about
ideology.
the place for homeless people in the Occupied. Okay.
We talked about that and the racial.
So what are we talking about
We also
today?
talked about the racial question.
Okay.
And the new definition of poverty.
Okay, so what are we talking about today, facilitator?
We got on the subject of my comment to you. It wasn't agenda related. This means from here.
Let's go back to the agenda and let's hold our passions, and if we have time, after we've gone through the agenda, we can come back to this in a really kind of
I am not here today.
I am not here today
To talk about violence.
to talk about violence.
Or non-violence. Underground organizing.
Underground organizing
Needs to be autonomous.
needs to be autonomous
So that the repression ground resistance
of above ground and underground resistance.
What's up? It's your boy checking in on the bike.com, and I'm riding over here in Lake Merritt area, Oakland, Lake Lightweight, East Oakland, or I should say South Oakland. And we've got people walking dogs. Hey, enjoy your dog. And we got all kind of folks. People waiting for the bus. But I think what I really want to say on today's blog mission is a little bit of advice about riding safely while filming. So when you're filming, you really can't, and you're filming yourself on a bike, you really can't see what you're shooting. So what you really got to do is have a nice arm extension. The arm extension is critical. You don't want to get the arm within a shot. You also don't want to be hit by a car while you're trying to, get the shot. You try to get all these beautiful angles. It's really about getting a direct angle so you can see at the same time while filming, okay? So checking in on a bike, here we go. Oakland, welcome to Oakland. It's great, as you can tell. Got a homeless world over there. Plenty of joggers. And so I'm making my way over here by the Whole Foods. We might be able to get a chance to go in and check them out and see what they're working with today. But if you're just checking in with us on video, blog, talk on bikeswhileriding.com, my main objective here is just to show myself riding in very exciting places all around the world, and so that you can see where and when I ride. So it's about Thursday, February 27th, I mean. It's about 11 o'clock in the morning, and as you can tell, I'm enthusiastic about my new job, which is filming myself riding around. So you're gonna now check out some of the streets we got over here in Oakland. Check it out. Alright. Hey, what's up? Yeah, I don't think they anticipated that. They're coming. I don't think they anticipated us walking over here yet. I gotta find somewhere to park my bike. These fucking shots, fuck. Build out.
a post-war generation of French thinkers whose ideas about language helped shape our understanding of the postmodern world.
Le comportement criminel, le comportement de délinquance, la transgression des lois sont des comportements en eux-mêmes trop complexes, dont on connaît trop mal les déterminations.
Foucault, however, was unique. He went beyond language to examine the nature of society itself, the nature of man. He was interested in what lay beyond what we accept.
Alright, so tonight in SF we're having another raid and we need support out there. A lot of people from SF came down here to support you guys. I think it would be nice if we had support up there too. Thank you.
I just have a couple words to say. About the police. I just want to make a distinction. Between an institution whose purpose is to protect private property. And the men and women who are employed to do that. They get brutal training. To brutalize their sisters and brothers.
Hi everybody, this is Samsara from the Children's Village.
Hi everybody, this is Samsara from the Children's Village.
I bring you greetings from the little ones. I want to tell you how happy I am to see everybody here tonight. I still have a moment of concern to share with you. There's still 4 little ones that were in the tents when we got occupied by the occupiers. I would like to know if anyone saw what happened to them, if they could contact me. I would like to know that they are safe.
I would like to know that they were citizens who were exercising their speech in an open space.
I am not here today.
I am not here today.
Talk about violence.
To talk about violence.
Or non-violence.
To talk about
what is tactical.
what is tactical.
Rather than violence or non-violence.
Rather than violence or non-violence.
Underground organizing.
Underground organizing
Needs to be autonomous.
needs to be autonomous.
So that the repression. Ground resistance.
Of above ground and underground resistance.
And they're over there acting. There's a few guys who look like they're about to, I don't know, they're about to really get into it, but they're starting to talk shit. They're back and forth, like, on the phone, like, okay, something's about to happen right now. I'm like, so I'm gonna start leaving. So I start, as soon as I started pedaling away on my bike, I hear, fuck, blah, 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 whatever, and then you see a fucking canister of tear gas come flying, and then, like, flash grenades going off, and then the tear gas exploding. We're like a fucking like war.
a video.
Oh shit,
Say
what's up?
to the
We
folks.
out here doing it real big, you feel me? All you motherfuckers that know what time it is, man, you might as well bring your ass out here, bro. Cause it's getting real ugly.
No shit, man. They kicked us out of Oakland, man. We up here in UC, man. Supporting the free speech.
UC Berkeley is meshed together. Occupy Oakland and UC Berkeley. It's getting real serious. We're thinking about making a lot of progress, you know, but we need to get brothers from the hood. We need to get these students to understand the struggles down in the flats. And as soon as we can get that, then we can really cultivate something that's promising. Like I'm talking about revolution level. Feel me? Everything.
Oh shit. Don't occupy 510, occupy everything.
Oh, everything. Occupy the world, baby. This is serious.
Can we get some more all the time for everybody. They say I'm a dreamer, but I'm not the only. Hope someday you'll join us, and the world will live as one.
I sing a second later.
Get to know
The person next to you.
For sure, brother. We up in this, man. Ain't no real.
It's your sister.
Dang.
We'll begin.
5 p.m.
5 p.m.
Thursday morning, and I was like killing it, and they fucked him up, and they were threatening me and other people. I was like, you know what? I'm looking forward to the next time. I'm looking forward to what you're threatening next time, because I'm not scared. Because a cop was like, you gotta like cease and desist or whatever they call it. Otherwise, I'm gonna break your ribs. I'm like, well.
I'll go him. I gotta get out of here. Nice. You know what I'm saying? It's like, that's not
Ambassador one time.
So good. Mine too.
We had an interesting start. There was a bit of a conflict with the sheriff who showed up and said, "Are we doing a flash mob? Because if you are, we're gonna have a problem." And I, kindly directed him to Astrid, and Astrid handled him very nicely. And we got in the line, and we started the procession, and it went well. And we started.
No, I got it.
We started it, and it went good. We started chanting. They brought out a box and started putting all the dumbbells in there. And then we went to the speaker, Perez, and they were very kind and open to us giving them the dumbbells. We did not go into the office, but they did bring out a recycle box, and we put stickers all over that and chanted and put our dumbbells in there. So it was a success.
Woo! Republican.
Yeah, she, just a staff person there. She kindly accepted the dumbbells, smiling all the way, but that was about as far as we got.
No response?
No, well, I was the last person. I don't know, did anybody talk to her?
Did she say they were going to man up?
Don't know.
She was just awkward and silent.
People in power are uncomfortable, right? Yeah. She was really uncomfortable today. She did not want us to show up and tell her boss to do the right thing and pass the budget for the 99%. So we moved her, and those are going to stick around in the office. They'll remember that too. Good job, group 2.
We're pretty scattered all over the place. All right, so we were a little delayed, but we went up to Bob Huff, who's a minority leader, and so we got someone from the front desk. What we decided to do is just give a one sentence that we want a California budget for the 99%. No cuts in health and human services. We need permitting education cuts. So the guy looked kind of scared and everything, and we gave a little sticker and we gave a little.
Told them to man up?
We told them to man up. Thank you.
Yeah, great job, group 3. Great job. Anybody else who hasn't spoken from group 4 want to say anything? Lisa, go for it, Lisa.
Well, we went to Steinberg's office. We said man up for a budget for the 99%. Everybody delivered their dumbbells, and then a member of the pro tem staff came out and spoke and said that they were with us, said that they couldn't talk about it. He didn't seem happy to have us there, but she said she was.
Cool. All right, group 4. Stella's going to say a little something else.
Okay, so you guys were fabulous today because you know who came out and the media came out today? We actually had the LA Times, Sacramento Bureau was here. Also, the Associated Press was covering us. And I think I saw the Capital Alert guy, but we will see. So if we see the media hits, we will certainly send them out to our list. And you guys did fabulous.
Thanks to the media for Mark De La Sener. Yes, he invited us in. We talked. He gave his comment. He said, "We are with you." So, and then he went to his next meeting. So that was good.
And you'll have to be patient for the luggage to arrive and rides to get going. So, last bit, we're going to do some chants, y'all, all right? So we'll do what you've all heard this, you've all said this today. Let's be loud. Let's make sure that folks who didn't see us today in the Capitol, they hear us from the steps, okay? Man up for a budget for the 99%. 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 Man up for a budget for the 99%.
Oh, you guys.
Man up for a budget for the 99%. 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 For a budget for the 99%. Man up 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 for a budget for the 99%. What we want, revenues. Where do we want them? Now. What do we want? Revenues! When do we want them? Now! What do we want? Revenues! When do we want them? Now! What do we want? Revenues! When do we want them? Now! What do we want? Revenues! When do we want them? Now! What do we want? Revenues! When do we want them? Now! What do we if you still have your man up, your
Come on. Central Valley representation here.
All right, come on.
Okay, here we go. So if you got your sheet, it's at the bottom. Everybody know the Salt and Pepper song? What a Man? All right, well, you know the song? You know the song. Okay.
Be a man, be a man, be a man, be a mighty good man. Be a mighty, mighty good man. Be a man, be a man, be a man, be a mighty good man.
Mighty, mighty good man.
Be a man, be a mighty good man.
Has revenue.
Be a man, be a mighty good man.
Don't cut our services.
Be a man, be a man, be a mighty good man.
A budget for the 99%.
Be a man, be a man, be a man, be a mighty good man.
Has revenues.
Be a man, be a man, be a man, be a mighty good man.
Has revenues.
Be a man, be a man, be a man, be a mighty good man.
Has revenues.
Be a man, be a man, be a man, be a mighty good man.
Has revenues.
Really for being here with us today. For hanging in there. It was a long day yesterday of training. A lot of energy today. I think we came, we saw, we conquered. We should say we spoke out. I also want to thank the team. Again, Stella. Thank you, everyone. Safe travels home. If you have any questions, talk to your organizers. Okay, so now we got luggage.
Which is based upon ownership of property. When you make those kind of improvements on somebody's property, generally, you can't take those back. Those are leasehold improvements, and when you go, you can't tear it down. So it would be interesting to know whether they've done any follow-up on that, since they did mention, find out about the ordinances and work in conjunction with those, whether they've done that in Detroit. I have some friends who are absentee landlords in Detroit. They bought some homes for like $15,000, 2 of them. I don't know where in Detroit they are, and to go back and look at it, I doubt they're fixing them. But at one point, they were trying to get folks to come and move back to Detroit. I'm sure you've read about that several years ago. They wanted people to come in and to bring some skills in to help bolster the economy there in Detroit. They didn't do that. They bought property there. There's a lot of that in Detroit.
Yeah, I mean, the people are rising up to try to bring more to the city. They got a long way to go. But at least having the Equity Summit there raised awareness on that particular area.
Here's some ideas, definitely some ideas.
Anybody else?
I like the, of course, I like the art.
Yes.
And something that I have noticed, that whenever there's it is a big movement in Detroit. It really, really is. And anyone who's ever watched, there's 2 shows that come to mind. One is Detroit 187, and the old show Blade. They were set in Detroit, and one of the things that they made it a point, not in every episode, but in key episodes, they would literally incorporate into the plot the artwork being done to build those abandoned houses. That was one plot that was incorporated in there. How they use graffiti artists to do that. The commercial buildings, they call it kerplunking. That's where, kerplunking, I don't know if anyone's ever heard of that, but they call it urban kerplunking, where they would go into these giant abandoned commercial buildings and they would do kerplunking in there. So they really are trying to draw attention to what is happening in Detroit, and and I think the art, I think that's really important, because you might not be able to change or control the situation, but you can definitely change your perspective and change how you deal with it. And so it's cool that they're using art to do that, because art is more than just being in a studio, painting on a canvas.
Absolutely.
There's so many different forms of art, so I like that.
Thank you.
In Rain one day there. And speaking to them, they were sharing with us about how whole neighborhoods have been abandoned, where families used to live and they're just ghost towns. And they were telling us about how banks had taken over those neighborhoods. Where did the people go? So now they're looking at moving out where they are, which is a historic landmark, and moving into a school that's abandoned. Can you imagine schools being abandoned in neighborhoods? To me, that's just very shocking. What is happening in Detroit and in Oakland. And the other thing we were able to be a part of briefly was Veterans Day, Occupy Veterans Day, where the veterans were having their own protest movement in Detroit. And so the Occupy movement is becoming a landmark in the demonstration movement. It's becoming focused at the national level. And when we think in terms of what people are going through, it's a new level of civil rights. And even though they're living out there in the freezing cold in Detroit, they are not giving up. They're standing their grounds. And I know you took some pictures.
Yes.
Okay, we can share those next week.
I'm gonna throw them up on our Flickr account, and you guys can see them all.
Okay, but you know, I walked away. I wanted to cry, and the reason why I wanted to cry because I saw these activists, that's what I call them, in the cold, being, what could I call them? The Gandhis of the 21st century, the Martin Luther Kings, the Malcolm X's, all Rosa Parks, all of them I saw there, realizing that they were there for you. They were there for all of us around the table. And they were not going to be moved because they're going to continue to move the agenda forward because of all of us around this table. And that's, and more importantly, we need to continue standing with them. Even in California and Oakland, I got a handout and went and talked to Cal. And
which means nobody can really stop those triggers because it's the way the law is written. How did Jon-Mychal explain this to me? But if we organize between now and then maybe something can be done from keeping the triggers from going off or brain freeze and something else. And the police chief needs to go. I mean, we don't want a police chief that gives orders like that. We want.
Can I just say like one last thing?
Oh yeah, sure.
You know, it's interesting to look at what's going on here between the Occupy here on the front lines in the context of what was happening in Detroit. I mean, if you think about that conceptually, what's the difference? I mean, either way, you have people that are reclaiming public space, that are repossessing what they feel like is the right to have. Yeah. And so the real difference here is that you're doing it here in the face of power. You're doing it here where people are against it and they can fight back. And so, I mean, if you just think about that and then sort of understand it and try to process through it, it really brings to mind the concept of like, I don't know, let me work on that one.
Don't work on that one, but this is what Oakland does.
Yeah,
I mean, this is not
but we
the
have
first
to
time.
accept that and not try to pretend that it shouldn't happen. It's going to happen. That's my point. It's going to happen. And we need to embrace that and accept it and move forward, as opposed to pointing out, the cops did this, the cops did. They're going to continue to do that. Because they're not going to give over to that peaceful.
It will happen in other cities.
Peace is not going to win. Okay, agenda item number 9, I guess. Not number 9, I'm sorry. Number 6. And you said no, nothing to
We went past that. We were on 7.
Yeah.
7. We talked
awesome. It would be awesome fundraiser for cotton. At the beginning of something.
And I just have to say that the last couple of times that I've been here and we've done exercises, I'm really impressed at the level of natural giftedness of the people here. So, I mean, it's really possible to do something really great.
Talk about not just Oakland, but just the whole movement. And I think we need to start looking at other cities and how, how the processes are happening in other cities and learning from those as well, because this one's obviously taken a different route to enlightenment. So if people want to pick different cities and just come with little reports next week, what's happening in New York, update on where else there are.
Oh, I didn't get that assignment. You want
There was a
people
bunch
to
of
do
cities that got attacked last night. It wasn't just open.
Yeah.
There's a whole bunch of them. Portland.
What's the update?
Yeah, I was in a meeting where one of our staff and our board member were like, "Oh, I don't have to worry about anything because revolution is happening." And I said, "Yes, and tanks and tear gas." They came up with helicopters in '68. So it's changed.
I know that there
all
was
over Berkeley.
a raid on Oakland last night. I don't know what was
And
the
they took
outcome.
all the tents down this morning.
Okay, so the outcome is that it's the campus completely shut down.
So no changes all the
Yes.
time.
It's shut down. And there's going to be a response at 4 o'clock from the Oakland Library.
So
Which will
what-
probably head down 14 Broadway. Probably another confrontation as to like the last time.
So what you're saying is next week people will bring a report on the city and the occupation.
Whole departments are going on strike today. Professors were hit, just like student protesters.
So what's up, dude?
What's up?
You want to say something to
Sure. Is this,
anybody?
like, video or? Yeah.
Well, eventually I want to turn all this footage into maybe like a yearbook of the occupation
I see.
Movement.
Okay. Hi, I'm a student here, and I believe that we should be getting cuts, so I'm here playing some music. That's pretty much all I have to say. Yeah, it takes some getting used to. All the keys are like falling off of it.
Exaggerate. We find ourselves in our common purpose. And when we find ourselves, we are brave. We are deprivatized. We are not persons anymore. We are a people. A people cannot be scared. A people cannot be beaten back into individuality, no matter how many batons beat those individuals. A people understands that some members of its collective body are more vulnerable than others, and it protects those parts harder. So these raids, these destructions of people's spaces and the things that have been erected upon them are a fundamental mistake. You can disperse a crowd, and you can't disperse a people. You have formed. You can wash away the infrastructure of love that's been assembled on the square. But you cannot wash away the people who turn their...
Rest in peace, down bird. That's how we rock.